is usually where a weaker person finds a stronger person to make covenant with. The reason being that if you're in covenant, then you have to protect one another. So if the weaker person needs some protection, he'll go look for a stronger person to be in covenant with so that he'll have protection when he needs it. They share all their belongings. If you're in covenant with your neighbor and your neighbor's car breaks down, then he would be able to come over and say, I need your car, and you would not be able to tell him no. You would just be able to get in your car and drive away because he needs it. You're in covenant with him. You are recognized by other people as being covenant brothers. They know you as being in covenant. So I say, well, those two are in covenant. You are guaranteed that if you're under attack, that the other one will come and rescue you. You don't even have to call them on the phone. If they hear about it, they're in their car and they're on their way to your house. They'll get there before the police ever show up because you're in covenant with them. The covenant also goes for your families. So if you have a daughter or a son that's being bullied at school and your covenant partner sees that happening, they will step in and take care of them. It also, the blood that is transferred, because they literally cut a place in their arms and put the blood together so that their blood is intermingled. Life is in the blood, and so they believe that when you are in covenant, you're really taking on the life of the other person. So you are sharing life with that person. So you become one with them. So there's like two people, but there's only one life going on in them. So we're in covenant with Christ. He has put his blood into us, and he is now living in us. We are one with him. It's absolute surrender of all our preferences, all of our personality quirks, all of our, I like it this way and you like it that way, so, all that's gone. And you just try to work it out all the time to make everybody happy. In John 6:53-57, Jesus was talking about covenant. And he said to them, most assuredly I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever eats of my flesh and drinks of my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up in the last day. For my flesh is food indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. So he who eats my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me, and I in him. When we take communion, we are renewing that kind of covenant. So we need to thank God that he's in covenant with us, and thank him for his covenant blessings. So how do we enter into this rest? First of all and foremost, we need to have a relationship with our fathers.
Papa.
There's no other way. How can you trust somebody that you don't know? You've got to spend time with the Lord. The other thing is that we need to ask him for help when we need help. Not run to our neighbor or call Melissa or call, Gypsy or somebody. God should be the first one that you call for.
Amen.
He's the only one that has the answer. He's the only one that has the supply. Yeah, somebody else might have it, and God may tell you to call them, but you call God first. He should be your 911 call.
That's good.
Because that's how we enter into a relationship with him, is calling him at those times. If you're running to somebody else instead of God, you're not going to come into a relationship with the Father very well. You need to guard your thoughts. 2 Corinthians 10:3-6. It says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity into the obedience of Christ. You need to keep your thoughts in line with God thoughts and not get into fear and all the other stuff that we get into. Greed. Now I want to share with you some of the things that I pulled out of my journal notes, my 100 pages. I didn't bring the 100 pages. I did, but I'm not going to read them to you. These are some of the things that the Lord told me. He told me, I do some of my best work in the midst of your impossible times, when you're resting and trusting in me. And he said, no enemy can find you when you are in my rest and my will. And he said, peace shuts the door to the enemy, and rest keeps him at a distance. If you're frantic, the enemy's going to just come in and bring in all his friends. Party down. All fruitfulness flows from rest. And he said, let go of your self-preservation and let me be your life preserver. Remember, I am never in a hurry. And this was the one that I have the most issue with. I always want God to do it faster than he wants to do it.
Me too.
I mean, always. I always do. But he said, I am always on time, and that is also true. He's never been late, and he never will be. He said, refuse thoughts of worry and lack.
I love you.
Refuse thoughts of fear. Shut the door and don't invite them in for tea. One time he took me in a vision to a vineyard. And he said, I want to show you something about rest in the vineyard. And I said, well, what are you going to show me? He said, just look, I want you to look at the vines. So I looked at the vines, and in this particular vineyard, we live in California now. They've got vineyards everywhere. And every vineyard seems to have a different way of doing their vines. But a lot of them are this way, where they have the vines like this every 8 feet or something. And then there's wires going across, the top. And they pull the vines up and they attach them to the wires. And so they look like a series of crosses, all attached to these wires. And he said the vines are secured on the cross pieces and the wires. They are held there to support the fruit. It makes it easier for the harvest. As you are secured more and more to my cross and to the power of my blood, more and more fruit will be produced in your life and greater harvest for the kingdom. Unsecured vines produce fruit, but they're more open to destruction because they're lying on the ground and open to disease and trampling underfoot. Little can be harvested for the use of the king. It's all about surrender to my will and my way. It's all about being willing to allow yourself to be fashioned your life to mine and trust in me for all that you need. Through the pruning and the harvest, it's all about allowing me to decide your daily supply and resting in my will. Now, I was in the shower last week when I had been getting ready for this message. And the Lord said, I want to give you an object lesson. I said, okay. So he said, I want you to take a glove. So here's this glove. He said, most of you think that rest looks something like that. Let's just hang out with Jesus. We're just going to rest today. We're not going to do that. But he says, I want you to see what it looks like. He said, this is what rest looks like. It's you resting just like this, and me coming in like this, and using this rested glove to do what I want to do. And go where I want to go, and call who I want to call, and walk with who I want to walk with. That's what rest looks like. I thought that was pretty good. I told him, well, that's pretty good, God. There's going to be some doozies over there, I'll tell you. And he said, I have overcome and triumphed over everything the enemy represents or has. No weapon formed against you will prosper. None. Praise and rest are your weapons. Love and joy is your ministry. Delay is not denial, beloved. Rest in my time, my time, my time. And I heard this metronome kind of thing ticking away. He said, when you take your eyes off of me and learn and look instead to your circumstances, you will not find rest or joy or peace. My time, in my time, I make all things beautiful in my time. Rest is a weapon, and you must learn to use it while you have time to practice.
Wow.
Now, on April the 14th in 2013, he shared this with me. He says, I have sent you to do my works. You are my hands and my feet, my love, expressed in this world. Don't hold back. Don't debate with the voices of weakness and accusation that are in your mind. Bring every thought captive and put on the whole armor. It is a day of battle, but the script has already been written for your victory. Step onto the stage and take your role as the role of your king. I am sending you to this final harvest for my kingdom. It will be more than you can do. All of your time, your energy, and your resources will be poured out like water on a thirsty land. I am your supply. Don't look to another, for no other has what you need for this hour. Your bank account, your assets, your gifts, and your talents are as marbles in the hands of a child. Without my guidance and without my hand to guide you and teach you, all of your marbles will tumble out of your unskilled fingers and you will lose. Come to me often. I have the strategy and the resources and the network that you need for the visions I have given you for this time in living technicolor. But you must come to me first. There are no others to supply what you need. All other provision will frustrate you and entangle you. Come to me. The supply stands ready with your name on it. And I saw this huge storehouse with all these boxes, and it had different people's names and addresses on every single box. So he's already got it laid up for us, everything that we need. When I spoke to Malachi, he said, scripture about bringing all your tithes into the storehouse, and I said that I would pour out an immeasurable blessing, it was more than tithes and more than money. I want a tithe of your time. I want a tithe of your companionship. I want a tithe of your pleasures and your gifts and your talents. Draw near. The more you give into my storehouse of your time, your energy, and your pleasure, I will pour out riches untold. Every need supplied, every question answered, every vision clear. No good thing will I withhold to those who walk uprightly. Come and learn of me. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. The place of rest, the grace to do my work in complete joy and peace can only be found as you set aside the ways of the world and come to me. Rejoice, the day of harvest is here. You are my laborers, my children of light. Come to me for your assignments and go forth knowing that your victory is assured. Later that week he said, stay in my will and you will be kept by my power and my love. I call you to rest. And then he used it like an acronym. And the R stood for receive, E for eternal, S for strategies, and T for triumph. So receive eternal strategies for triumph
Wow.
through rest.